welcome back to Gopher's Workshop. I'm your host, Aaron. And joining me, as always, is the grumpy, begrudging, terrible... Your beard got longer.
Less prefixes.
So anyway, we're here. We're doing an episode, Chris.
Yep. And we brought another man.
We brought another man. So, Chris, before we introduce our lovely guests, what's today's podcast episode about?
Adepticon. So we were at Adepticon running a booth, but also we were there because we took a bunch of the team guys and they played in the events. And a couple of our team guys did some reasonably impressive things. So we're going to talk to those guys because it's convenient since they're here.
Just so you know, this is a once in a lifetime, probably multiple times over because they literally live here and come play games here. Interview.
Also, the track record of our team is surprisingly good at Adepticon. Just saying.
So who do we have with us today?
So for the first half of the episode, we've got our boy Frank. He was playing the orcs, Lego Knights, whatever they wanted to call them. He was actually on stream. He was the first round stream. And it was probably my favorite stream they had. It was very funny. But we'll get into that. Anyway, Frank.
Hello. I aim to entertain, both on the stream and I guess now.
If Frank doesn't become a regular member of the podcast just from that introduction alone, I quit.
I appreciate the scanning the room of like, who do I talk to?
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Basically.
So Frank was round one. Mm-hmm. He was playing knights against another knight player.
Correct.
Which is crazy. First off, matchup crazy.
Funny enough, they were the Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights?
It was Imperial Knights.
Okay.
But luckily for the matchup, it was the two exact opposite styles of knight lists. So that was fun.
Yeah, because you were entirely big knights?
I was 5 big boys, and he was 2 bigs, and however many smalls was required to get to 2,000 points. I don't know. I don't remember.
I want to say it was like 6 or 7, something like that. Anyway.
8 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 12.
It was not. It really wasn't. But anyway, we'll just start with, I found the whole match hilarious. First off, because you did great, and I'm super glad you did. But also because it seemed like every other choice you made, Scary, which was one of the commentators, and he's mildly well-known, let's say, for being, he's very well-known, for being a competitive Drukhari player. It's like in his name. Anyway, but it was really funny because like every other decision you made, he's like, oh man, I think that was a mistake, or oh, he should have done this. And then like 2 phases later, he was just like, oh, I didn't even think of that. That's great.
Yeah, I haven't gone back and watched it yet. We're watching it tonight, so I'm interested to hear what he thinks. Also, remember what happened because I've slept since then, so I don't really remember the game too well.
So I've got a question. We're going to start this off. It's an interview, right? So we got to interview you.
All right,
here we go. First question. What was it like when you found out? Like, what was your feeling when you found out, oh shit, I'm on the GW top table streaming, like round 1, match 1?
Well, I had been painting furiously the last 3 months, so I hadn't really practiced. So I was basically thinking, well, let's hope I can remember my rules. That was the first thought. The second thought was, okay, this is cool. It's gonna be a fun story at least. And that was the end of my thoughts. Was basically, oh shit, I don't know if I know how to play this game anymore. And it's a good thing we're televising this.
It's great that we're televising the fact that I don't know how to play this game.
Yeah.
So
fortunately, I remember the rules enough and didn't embarrass myself. So that was good.
Again, you did very well.
Yeah.
But so you were actually at the table. How was it playing at the table compared to like all the other tables that you played at?
It was very nice. There was so much so it was a whole extra table. Obviously, we were like cordoned off from the general public, so there was plenty of space. That was honestly the best part about it, to be honest. Not having to like rub elbows and fight for space to roll dice or whatever. That was great. In terms of the game itself, it was essentially just a regular game of 40K. Right off the top, when they were explaining, okay, here's what we're going to do, they basically said, okay, we're going to get you set up and just play a normal game of 40K. Don't do anything special. Just play the game. So, yeah, the biggest benefit was just the extra room.
Did it feel any different as far as like with the, you know, the commentators being kind of sort of close, and like, were you able to like hear their comments as you were playing, or did with the cameras and stuff, did it feel like there was more, I don't know, pressure, or it like, did it feel different to you?
So for the first, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, yeah, there was a little bit, you know, when we had just like, because we had half unpacked at our original table, and then they walked up and said, hey, do you want to go play on stream? So, okay, then we have to pack up. And then, so there was a little bit of running around. So after like the excitement of getting set up kind of wore down and we got into like the first round, it didn't feel any different, to be honest. I couldn't really hear the commentators. I think the only thing I overheard from them once is they mentioned that Sir Hector had Lone Op, and I heard the word Lone Op, which reminded me that he had Lone Op. I think that's about all I overheard from them. Occasionally there was a guy, not one of the commentators, but off to the side, who was running I think he was running the stream, like the stream overlay and, you know, the secondaries and the points or whatever. He would occasionally butt in, and he did his best to not interrupt the flow of the game, but he would occasionally butt in and be like, wait, what secondaries were drawn or what got scored, you know, to try to make sure that the info on the overlays are up to date. But other than that, no, it felt like a normal game. It was a little awkward because we were rolling in the little filmed dice tray. So instead of having the dice tray a little closer to me, but like that's not that big of a deal.
That's kind of normal stuff for most recorded games.
Yeah. Couldn't really hear the commentators. Didn't really get interrupted. I mean, that was essentially their thesis at the top was it's a normal game of 40K. Once we get set up, we're going to do our best to not get in the way. So.
Okay. So how did so we kind of have been talking about like the fact that it was a stream table and stuff. How did the actual game go itself? I mean, anybody could go watch it arguably, but also for those who like haven't really seen it, how did you feel like the game went?
I thought at round, like bottom of round 2, top of round 2, can't remember when I lost my 2 big nights. But it was early, and I was in my back of my head, I was thinking, okay, well, I've lost this one, I've screwed the pooch, but we're gonna keep playing because I'm not gonna just concede on like, A, I'm not just gonna concede. That's just not something I do. And B, I'm not gonna do it on stream and just like wimp out or whatever. So I kind of had resigned myself that I wasn't gonna win this one. Somehow managed to pull it off. Again, like I said, I haven't rewatched it yet, so I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but I just remember I had a Lancer and a Gallant that went forward. So he was playing the Spearheaded Arms, so I knew I needed to kill his big knights to basically shut down all of his synergies. And early on, I was willing to just not score some points for the sake of doing that.
Good choice.
And it seemed to work out, yeah. But I just felt like I had lost my 2 big melee pressure knights a little too early, but apparently it was okay.
We had talked about this a little bit at Adepticon. It was like after you completed, the round or whatever, but we had talked a little bit. And if I'm honest, from what little I saw at the time, because I didn't see the whole stream, but I saw parts of it, even as you lost those, to me, outside observer, not being in the game, it seemed like you were in the lead the whole time. Yes, losing those knights did swing it back closer to like, let's say even, but it looked like you had good board control the whole game. You had like, again, you did the right choice of taking out the big knights, so he lost a bunch of synergy early. And then the little knights, he did have a bunch of them, but also like several of them were hemmed into a corner. And then the others that were able to like get out were like, they were like 1v1ing a big knight.
Yeah, now that you're reminding me, maybe lucky that I happened to look into that slot, or it was intentional. Let's go with intentional. That part of why I was charging early or getting all up in his face early was also to hem in all, because with the little knights, they can't go through terrain. They can go through some of like the little-y stuff, but through the big walls. So getting all up in there to pen him in was, can't remember if that was actually part of my plan or just worked out well for me. But
and for what it's worth, when I watched the stream, when I chimed in the beginning, you very much acted like it was part of your plan.
Then let's go with that.
It was you sent the Lancer straight through the center, and we're like, hello, boys. And then the guy was like, I'm coming too.
If I'm remembering correctly, it was I was trying to get the Lancer in a spot where if I could shoot one or two of his little knights off, I could charge his Castigator with the Lancer. I think is what it was, either with the Lancer or the guy. I was going to charge his Castigator. I just needed to clear out one screening Armiger, I think is what was going on.
Yep.
And I don't think I actually ended up killing that screening Armiger in shooting. So I had to charge it with the Lancer, I think is what happened. But
and then I think that might have been the one where you killed it with the tank shock, which allowed you to pile in and fight the big guy.
I don't think I was close enough to pile in. I think I was a little too far away for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no.
But maybe I piled into a different Armiger and just, took out some trash.
I do think it was part of your plan. As far as the hemming in, I think that was, yes, it was a part of your plan, but also your primary plan appeared to be like full gung-ho, go after the big knights. If I can remove those, the game is an easier place.
Yeah, that was definitely, that one I'm confident was the big part of the plan, because the little bit I played Spearhead, I don't know, once, went, God, I hate Armigers. Oh my God, do I hate Armigers. So, but I knew that it was just the way the detachment stratagems work. You kind of have to get rid of the big knights to shut them down real hard.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you fell into the what's it called? What's it called, Chris? When you do the thing, it's like pre-programmed muscle memory.
Yeah, that was a good bit of it. Definitely after the game, it was a little bit of if you go up, you have like a public speaking thing, and you go up and you say the thing, and you get off stage and you go, I have no idea what just happened in the last 10 minutes. It was sort of that a little bit of we're just kind of going, and we'll see what happens when I go back and watch the tape.
Now, I think on multiple levels that's true. Like, yes, part of it's muscle memory because you've gotten a bunch of practice in, and I know you were like crazy hobbying there at the end, but you have gotten plenty of reps in with the list. So like you did have with Knights in general.
With Knights in general, yes, I've played for the last year or so. I've been playing Knights. This list in particular, where it was just 5 bigs, I think that was like my second or third game with a 5 big list.
Yeah, but you were playing a fairly similar list with like 1 big knight gone, right, and then a couple of Armigers. You were playing that for a while.
Yeah, I guess.
So it was similar as far as the list was concerned.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to get at here is that it wasn't just that you had gotten a bunch of practice with your list. It's that it was like solid knowledge base, right? Because you didn't just know your list. You knew about the other detachments that your faction had access to. So in the mirror match, you were able to use your knowledge to kind of pick apart their list.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're playing Knights, so you know their data sheets, but you don't play a Castigator. But you were still able to determine that, like, nope, the list, or the detachment, I should say, revolves around these 2 big knights. If I can remove them, then the little knights become way less impressive. So that knowledge base, I think, did a lot of work for you, not just the playing itself.
Yeah, and it was even whatever the bondsman, the Castigator was. I don't remember it because I've never played a Castigator, but it was tertiary to why I needed to get rid of it.
So yeah, I think that helped you out a lot. Obviously, some of the other games you played, you didn't have the same knowledge base, so like the game became a little harder.
Yeah, Necrons are a problem for me. It's a good thing my one good game of the day was recorded, because oof, I had a rough day after that.
But again, it has, I think that goes to show that it has a lot to do with knowledge base. The game is big and complex, and those who put the extra time in, not only to practice their list, but also learn other parts other than just the thing they're playing, whether it's other detachments or whether it's, again, as you said, at least at Adepticon, that you're like, I don't get very many reps against Necrons. So like, it makes sense that you struggled against Necrons because you don't play against them very often.
Yeah.
So it's not that Necrons are broken or crazy or whatever else. Yeah, they may be in a good place right now, but also you just didn't quite have the knowledge base to be able to determine best practices.
Yeah.
So moving on, how did you feel about kind of Adepticon as a whole? So if we get away from specifically that matchup that was streamed, how was the rest of Adepticon? Like whether it's the championships or I know you also played in some of the other events.
Adepticon was great. The rest of my day in the championship, while rough, was fun. Fortunately, I did bad enough where I could drop before game 4 and not feel bad about it, so I don't have to play until 11 o'clock. Probably one of the big criticism I have for the champions is, why do they put 4 games on day 1? That's just too much on one day.
So while that is fair, the reality is it's a time constraint thing, right? Like in order to make the top cuts to 32 and make that even kind of reasonable, because there's like tiebreakers to get there and everything. In order to make that even kind of reasonable, you need 4 rounds.
I get that, but God, that's a long, like three already is a long day. Add a 4th one. Yep. But anyway, I didn't have to worry about that because Necrons whooped my ass in 2 and 3. See, and then what did I do? The next day I did a kind of a fun narrative night fight. It was custom rules. It was a good time. And then we did the team tournament, which I had a great time in because they let me bring 2 big knights in a 1,000-point list. And I put them on the line. And let me tell you, you don't know pure joy until on a D3 Volcano land shots, you get 7 hits. Because you get crit hits on 5s and sustain 2. Oh my God. Nothing is better. Everybody go read the Gatewarden Lance Detachment if you want more details. It's so fun in doubles. I don't like it in singles. The short story is that the detachment rule forces you to stay in a very specific part of the board, which is difficult in singles because then you can't really do the other stuff in the other half of the board. But hey, in doubles, when your partner can go off and do that nonsense and you just stand in the back and obliterate anything that dares to show its face, it's pretty good. We did pretty good in the team tournament.
Who was your partner for that one? What was the faction?
Dependent on the game, because every game we had a different partner.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
teams, not doubles.
Yeah, not doubles. It was the teams event.
So it did. So you had
a couple of Marines,
Marines,
a couple of Marines, and a Custodes. What the other guys were playing.
Plenty of bodies to throw around the board.
Yeah, because basically my goal was stand in the back with some big guns, and if they dare to show their face anywhere in the middle of the board, I should probably be able to blow it up. And that worked out pretty well. Yeah.
I guess my question for you at this point is, how do you feel, after everything's done, when dust is settled? I know you haven't gone back and watched your play, but how do you feel after the whole experience? So the stream, Adepticon, the whole thing.
Tired. I'm still recovering from Adepticon, mentally. It's just a long week. It's a good week, but it's just a long week. Mm-hmm. Once I got called, did the stream thing, I was like, I don't even care what happens the rest of the day. Like I've got a good story and I'm gonna have a great time, right?
Unlocked.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much achievement unlocked. Yeah, and then for the teams event, getting to play the 2 big nights, because for those who don't play nights, in 1,000 points, you're not, per GW's rules, you can't bring 2 Titanic characters, which is all of the big stuff. But per Adepticon rules, because they do weird stuff, I emailed them and checked. They're like, yeah, do it, brother. I said, okay. My list was basically a Castellan, a Paladin, and some agents or whatever. I don't care about them, but...
I don't care about them.
They don't matter. Yeah.
They weren't knights.
Although my Subductors, there was one game where the Subductors lived way longer than they should have. I think they got charged by some Plague Marines and some Alaris Terminators, and it took all of that to kill my Subductors.
That's ridiculous.
The 4-up sometimes 4-up, man.
The 4-up be 4-up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Terminators had to fight into them to kill 2 Subductors instead of piling into my Paladin. Like, yeah, great. Can't really rely on that sort of thing because, again, it's a 4-up save. Let me tell you, at Nova, my Lancer nearly died to Custody shooting. Not the tanks, the spears. So he just rolled hot, and I was not rolling hot, and he did like 24 wounds to my Lancer with the spear guns.
I mean, I've had that happen. I died to a bolter shot with my Lancer once. It was sad.
When you just rely on a 50-50 to survive, it sometimes goes great. Sometimes.
Well, Chris, I don't have any more questions. I think I'm questioned out. What about you?
Sure. Yeah. No, it sounds good. Unless there's anything else you want to comment.
No, I got nothing.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Frank.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We love you. So
we
have part two of our interviews.
Also, person two.
Hi, it's me. Hi, it's me, Deathwatch guy.
So we got Tyler Sims with us. He also is one of the valiant players of championships at Adepticon. Whoa! Made it through. Matter of fact, he made it through to day 2 specifically. Mm-hmm. Made them top cuts. But we brought him along. Wanted to kind of get some of his perspective. He wasn't on stream like Frank was, but made the day 2.
Tragic.
What was your finishing number? What did you finish at?
I finished in 20th.
20th. So you were top 20 cut.
I was
top. So 20th out of what 400 or almost 400, 380 something.
386.
Hell yeah!
Actually.
I'll dig it. But so feel free to regale us with your thoughts on the event, and specifically if you have things related to day 2, because not very many people get to deal with that.
All right, so I have a list. And as it was pointed out, I wrote it all in Sharpie because it was all very bold, big thoughts. So first, I will say that this Adepticon this year felt better than the last in terms of just how things ran. I'm going to start at the beginning because I can't tell stories from the middle. Okay. But first, I will say that, and I don't want to just rag on them immediately, but that is where I'm at. So first
this is your thoughts.
Okay, that's dangerous for both.
We bring people to interview. We don't get to control what you say on the microphone.
Nice.
Does that.
So the first thing I'm going to say is that rulings from the Adepticon staff are inconsistent, and this is the most pointed example that I have. I sent a picture of my Ballistus Dreadnought with a las cannon arm and the missile launcher, which a Ballistus Dreadnought has.
Correct.
And It had the multi-meltas because it also serves as a Brutalis Dreadnought sometimes. I sent a picture. I was told I could not run it because it would have been too confusing. And
That's reasonable.
Yeah, right. That is in fact the policy that most people operate the like real tournaments by.
Yep.
On my second round, the player I played against, who is a great person, I adore him. This is not shade thrown at him, but he was running a Chaos Cult army.
Okay.
His Chaos Cult army was 100% proxied. 100%. There was not a single Chaos model on his side of the board. It was Kislev and metal models from Kislev and
Okay.
Nurglings, but the Nurglings were actually dogs. So, in terms of readability, if we're talking about being confusing, I think that beats my multi-melta nipples versus an entire army of chaos cultists that were actually just Empire Minutemen and Russians.
Yep. And way back in the day when I was playing in the events instead of doing the vendor booth thing, we had run into this a bunch of different times, and most of the time, and this is frustrating, but from my experience, I was able to get an answer out of one of the judges about how, like, well, we didn't disallow that because they didn't bring it up to us. So, like, if you don't send in pictures, they're not like, everyone send in pictures. I need to verify everyone's stuff.
Mhm.
They're like, they're only verifying what you send in, right? And then Adepticon, at least at the time, because again, this is information I got, probably 6 years ago. They were like, well, they've already shown up to the event. So now they feel bad disallowing things because you're already there playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yes, they should, by all the rules, they should absolutely disallow that. And this was the ruling I got way back in the day because somebody literally played, I joke you not, pet store, like the rubber sharks, like that you put in aquariums.
Okay.
They were using those as corn hounds.
Amazing.
And we were like, what do you mean? They didn't paint? They glued it to a base. And like literally the player who was playing, like, no, I did do work. See, I took some of the gold chain and put it around the sharks because it's like the corn hound's collar, right? And we like both looked, like me and the judge looked at them like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's no way.
No.
But again, they kind of, if you ask them the question ahead of time, this is the correct thing to do. And they may disallow it because they're actually following the rules because you're not there yet. Once you're there, there's a whole lot of, nobody wants to, I don't want to say enforce the rules, but no one wants to like kick someone out for abusing the rules because all they're seeing is, okay, you spent how much money to come here? If I kick you out, you're going to go on the internet and bitch about it, which I understand is illogical because there's someone who has to face them is literally on the internet bitching about it.
And now I'm bitching about it. And like, my problem isn't with the player doing that. My problem is that I shouldn't have just said anything and just decided to break rules and just done it. Because then I wouldn't have had to rip off my multi-melta nipples and put on some bolters that are still technically not correct. But again, they don't know. So in the end, my thought is that instead of doing things the right way, I just go in and cheat.
That's
Okay,
terrible.
no, we're not cheating. That's not what we do.
We break the rules because they're not going to be brave enough to tell me to stop doing it.
No.
That's wrong.
Okay, so then instead I'll keep doing it the right way. And again, I don't have a problem with the Chaos Cult player. He's a good friend of mine. I actually really adore talking to him. But the fact that happens means that there's already a massive inconsistency in rules, and I could have just not said anything, and I could have just brought my dreadnought without mutilating it.
Yeah, and again, this is not an excuse on their part,
No.
but the reality is like,
That would suck.
unless someone tells them, hey, this guy is doing the wrong models, like they honestly probably would have never known.
Yeah. And like,
But like someone
Again-
has to point it out because if the player who brought the army doesn't point it out themselves, there's so many people, they're not even going to look.
and just like the Adepticon staff, I am averse to confrontation. So I wouldn't say anything anyway. So that was just my first big, bold, Sharpie
Yup.
written angry thought.
I was even gonna ask, like, did they even know? Like, we already, like, all of my questions got answered from just the two of you talking.
Yeah, I'm certain they had no idea until someone come up and complained about it.
Well, because but also they do paint judging, and he had a display board, so they had to look at it.
Well, okay, but see, that's where that's not exactly true, right? They had to look at the models, but the reality is when they go to it, they're like, they don't have his list, right? They don't know what he's playing. They're just like, here's a display board with some models. That looks dope. And that's like their painting judging. It's not, I need to verify, is that captain represent a captain? Or are those Blade Guard? Or are those like aggressors? Or what are those? Like,
I want to agree.
They don't care.
But they were for a whole damn different system. Those were some old Age of Sigmar things. Those guys had like knives in the 40th millennium. 41st, yeah.
41st.
Shows how much I know about lore. All right, so the next, and this was the most egregious part of this entire experience. The terrain was so inconsistent from board to board. Now, this would not be a problem if it was still in some way able to fit on the terrain plates.
You're right. And there was a lot of discussion about this, not only amongst our group, but kind of amongst random players. Just
the internet.
Everyone.
There was a whole Reddit post about this.
There was a lot of people bitching about it. You're right. The inconsistency arguably could be a good or a bad thing, right? Like if this terrain looks like a bunch of Tyranid stuff, but because of that, it's a very different shape than all the Necron stuff over here. Like they could have inconsistency and that be okay.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of not okay, which is what actually happened, is none of their terrain actually fit the layout. Like there's supposed to be horseshoes, and some people were trying to make the horseshoes. And in order to do that, there was like, well, if I make the horseshoe, that piece of, or that template over there is supposed to have a building. It doesn't get one. Like that's the only way to make the horseshoe. Or I don't make the horseshoe. And then first off, that's not correct. But secondly, like I have an L-shaped building for this horseshoe. Also, it doesn't even kind of fit the right size. It's overhanging this direction because it's too big. But this is the only place it fits. I actually saw people, and this was suggested because they said they talked to a judge that was like roaming around as one of the volunteers. And the volunteer suggested taking the biggest L shape they'd have and then putting it like as a point in the middle of a template. So it like definitely overhung and was not the right shape. But now we could like kind of pretend that there's a wall on both sides like there is in the horseshoe. And that was the actual suggestion. One of the rounds, and you might go over this too, but one of the rounds, I know one of our guys complained about, in order to make the L's work the correct direction, they flipped the terrain over, which would be fine, right? You're like flipping the L.
Except for there were base plates.
They had floors. So now you flip it over, and now it's just this big blob on the table of like, I don't even actually know where the wall is anyway.
Yep.
The terrain was kind of the worst. And the reason I think, and this is some inside information, the reason I was upset about the terrain, even though I wasn't playing it, is because we were able to talk to GW guys. The GW guys actually do supply some, not all, some of the terrain for their events because the event's so big, right? GW is sponsoring them. Well, funny enough, Adepticon doesn't want to use GW's terrain because if something breaks or gets misplaced or whatever else, they have to pay for it. So what ends up happening is Adepticon uses all of their terrain first, even though it's objectively incorrect. And then when they run out of terrain, then they start pulling from GW's tables. So a bunch of like the top tables, especially the streaming one and stuff, was actually correct because it was using GW stuff, not Adepticon's. And then Adepticon's terrain was like all the 3D printed garbage that actually didn't make any sense.
I don't even know if they used any of it other than the ones on the streaming tables. Because, as I said, I made top 20 and I was still on shit terrain. So, I mean, even at the top 32 tables, or the top 16 tables, there was still not a single actual correct layout. They were all still the 3D printed stuff. And again, that is not a problem if it didn't so wildly skew what armies could function in those spaces or not. So, which will bring me to my next point. Round 3. Round 3 was the worst experience I've had with Warhammer 40K since I started playing. They, for some reason, I have no idea who thought of doing it, but they, I don't know, rolled dice and figured out mission layouts and what mission or like what actual mission we're playing on versus the layouts for the terrain.
Yeah.
And they picked one that was not recommended for the terrain layout, which then had it was layout 6 and hammer and anvil. And those, at least I think it was hammer and anvil. I might be wrong. But regardless, it was 3 objectives in the center of the board. Yes, it was. Directly in the open. There was not a single terrain feature, anything to hide around, anything to work around. It was literally what people have been complaining about with whole 10th edition being like, there is a circle, stand on it. And it was literally, there is 3 circles, stand on it. Don't die. And do you know what's really good at dying? Drukhari and Space Marines when they're fighting each other. They have enough anti-infantry to kill me. I have enough anything that breathes to kill them. So now
they're only T3.
Exactly. So they fall over and die just like all of their icky, gross dev wound weapons and anti-infantry X with dev wounds and fuck you, I hate you. And then I die. So it was literally for an entire 3 turns because we didn't get very far into that game. But those 3 turns were I walk onto point and die. Or I'm sorry, I walk onto point, kill you. Now it's your turn. Okay, great. You walk onto point and kill me. There was all of this weirdness that happened around just that. And then factor in also the weird terrain features that now serve no purpose to protect models near points, to act as advantageous ways to stage. And instead they become honestly just roadblocks to interact with anybody. Dude was running the Scourges, so they have a shoot and scoot rule. And because the terrain was one of the Mechanicum sets with the pipes being like 4 inches in width for some reason, the bottom portion of these terrain features, you couldn't even technically end in engagement range. So I had to go around them to do that. And then he just gummed up both sections with bodies that I had to chew through. But also I couldn't make it there because I had to walk into literally no man's land because there was not a single place to hide. This felt like such a massive oversight in what they were planning and what the mission layout was. On the app, it literally has bold green letters that says, this is recommended.
For clarity here, it's not a complaint about 10th. It's not a complaint about like how the tournament system works or whatever. Nope. It was a bad choice on Adepticon's part. It is not actually a complaint of the system. The system,
no, I love the system,
could be better, and hopefully with 11th it will be. But also, it was not how 10th was supposed to be played.
No, and it's exactly because like it's not a problem with the missions. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't have been suckered into so many games and buying so many things if I didn't adore this infuriating little game. I love it. But that was the worst experience I had just because of the fact it was taking turns of walking dudes into the open and then just taking them off the table the next turn because it wasn't any interaction or ability to do anything about any of it. It was rough in the sense that literally they just needed to look at what was recommended and then that's it.
Yep.
The Baird staff, the Baird Center staff were great. They were so polite and I liked them a lot. And then let's go back to the bolded complaints. The Adepticon staff, I asked one question and I even started with a joke. And I think I'm a pretty personable person, right? I disarm a lot of frustrations that people have because either self-deprecating humor or we'll make a joke and have a good time. I walked up to one of the guys running the tables and this was after round 1. Okay. For context, on day 1 of the tournament.
So 3 hours later.
Yeah, 3 hours after they started, right? They might have been there to set up or whatever they did. But 3 hours after the first round, I was hungry. So I finished my game, walked up to the judges table because you couldn't hear the audio. It sounded like they, and that not great for trying to listen for details. So I walked up to them and I asked, hey, and I started with a joke. I said, hey, you've probably been asked this a bunch of times already. but how long do we get for lunch? Or when does the next round start? And motherfucker rolled his eyes at me and pointed at a TV screen, which was not facing the same direction at all. So like, obviously I didn't see it. And again, once someone's rude to me, then I'm much less disarming, and then I'm a petty little bastard. But my response to that was because I looked at the time and I looked back at him and I said, it would have been less effort to just say 1 hour. Thanks. And then I left. But like, it would have been for him to roll his eyes and then actually point, wild.
And this is like again, this is not an excuse for them, but this is the like self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I start by being rude to you, well, then when you're rude back, now I get to go back to all my other judges and be like, yeah, everyone's a jerk to us. So like, forget them. Just tell them to look at the board. That wouldn't probably happen. They probably would be less jerks if we were nice to them to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I say we being not me, but yeah, it's they kind of do it to themselves. I will totally admit, as a event organizer, there are absolutely people that are jerks, right? They're trying to win. They're trying to like cheese the system or whatever else, or they're frustrated because they just lost. I totally get people are jerks, but also if you're nice to people, there aren't very many jerks, especially like amongst the 400 people there. You got what? Worst case, 40, like 10%. Worst case, 10% are going to be jerks. And that 10% isn't even consistent because it's like, well, who's upset about they lost this round? Those are probably the jerks, not.
Yeah.
So
I can definitively say off that first round that I won, I was not a jerk. I was in fact just a little hungry. And I wanted to know if I had time to go to a decent place or spend $40 on like nachos that I could have gotten at the school that I work at.
No.
Like,
not very premium.
No, not primo nachos. Would not order again. So then this was the experience I had with day 1 of the tournament.
Oh god.
Day 2, it was pretty short-lived. I played one guy, again, really nice guy. They specifically told us that in those games, chess clocks were required. And totally fine. Can play with a chess clock, no problem. But we're already there. And if there's a problem, then I'm sure that people would then address the problem. But instead, they forced us to play on chess clocks. And if like someone is not used to playing a chess clock, me, that suddenly becomes another task that I have to worry about, that suddenly is becoming a bigger stressor. And how many times my opponent would end his turn, click the button, and then I would go to mine. And I wouldn't click the button, but he was on top of that. He was running my chess clock for me. At that point, we didn't really need it because he clapped my ass in an hour. So, turns out wasn't a necessary feature.
Space Jesus in an hour.
And he did. And he did.
Again, chess clocks are kind of a fickle point, right?
Yeah.
Like most of the time, chess clocks are not needed. When they are needed, it's really hard to go backwards and be like, well, we've already eaten up an hour and a half of our 3 hours.
Yep.
It's clear we need them. Well, what do we do now? Oh, shit. So like, it's kind of a catch-22. You need chess clocks in certain scenarios.
Yep.
But also most scenarios, they're not needed. And they just add, like you said, to the stress. They add to the distraction of the game. Like, I feel like I forgot a bunch of my stratagems because I was so worried about the clock. Like that, those are common complaints, which is why most tournament organizers tried not to use chess clocks unless it's like the top table or the top 3 tables or something like that, because it's just added stress that you don't really need. We're trying to play and have fun.
Yep.
But they are needed. And it's usually just the top tables, right? It's like where people are trying to win and they're kind of being a little grubby about, well, I think he's playing slow because I want more time or whatever else.
Yeah. And that would make sense if this was, again, it's going through it might have looked like one of the bolded thoughts that I have on the paper because it seems rude. It would have been fine if it was any other tournament. But the fact that this particular tournament puts so much focus on hobby and not just the gameplay, why are you making us use chess clocks if the gameplay is not what is the total thing that's winning people games?
I have a bigger question here as I'm sitting here listening. Were you aware that they were going to require chess clocks on day 2? Was that like in the packet? Or?
That wasn't in the packet, but when they had the little meeting that they had at the end of day 1.
So you didn't even know it was going to happen until literally the day before, after the first events are done.
Yep.
They're like, oh, also we're going to spring this on you, your chess clocks.
Also, for what it's worth, this was a complaint about people, not that chess clocks were required, but that I heard several people complain about like, okay, chess clocks are required day 2. Also, they only have so many, and apparently it wasn't enough. So they were telling certain people that you better have your own chess clock. And there's a bunch of people that were like throwing a fit about that. Now, I don't know. I don't know.
They told us to download it on an app.
Yep.
They said, get an app if you don't have one.
Yep. Which was wild. Because again, if you're going to mandate chess clocks, I have no problem with that. But like, no, you are the event organizer. You're mandating them. Either A, you should be supplying the chess clocks, or B, everyone should have so much notice that like it was a part of the sign up procedure of like in bold, bring a chess clock.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here is that I guess my issue is that you weren't notified at any point until literally, metaphorically here, we'll say 5 minutes before the start. Like you were told the night before the start of your second day.
Which ended at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And the Baird Center, like the actual like floor for the convention closed. So I couldn't even like go desperately try and buy one from a vendor there because they was closed. They closed at 6. So at 9, when they mandated us to have chess clocks, that just feels silly. It felt like an oversight that they just like, well, we don't want anyone getting upset. So let's make them do it this time. And it didn't feel great.
I mean, as a person who got slow played last year, I'm glad they implemented some chess clock.
Yeah.
But also, again, I see your complaint. I hear it. It sounds valid to me. Why are we waiting until the last minute to make these decisions?
In my time as a tournament player, I think on one hand, I can count the games I have not finished. I had one at Adepticon, and again, not my fault. I move a bunch of infantry for Space Marines around, and it turns out I can do that pretty quick. I played against a guy who was playing Drukhari on that weird layout, and man played a little slow. But it was fine. We finished the game to a pretty comfortable place. We got to round 3. I have literally almost never gotten to a point where I haven't finished a 40K game. I finish them when I'm at a tournament because usually you and your opponent talk quick enough to play, or like to get through it all.
Yep.
So having the top 32 be that way was a little rough. Yeah, that dude absolutely clapped me though. Wraiths. I don't like Necrons anymore. I mean, I never did. I'm a Death Watch player. I inherently am not allowed to like them.
Oh God.
Xenoth. Okay, and now continuing with the list.
Yes.
So again, my experience with Top 32 was pretty brief. There wasn't a lot to talk about other than watching someone who is admittedly way freaking better than I was. And this is, again, not a criticism of mine. I'm not bashing myself. I made day 2, top 32, finished in 20th. I'm pretty freaking happy. There's no complaints. That guy fucking crushed me in a way that like I felt like I needed to go back to the room and take a shower. It was like it was dirty.
That man finished my breakfast for me.
Yeah. Honest to God, I was pretty confident that I had a plan going in because they told us last night to go study their lists of the people that were in the top 32 to make sure there was no discrepancies, which sounds like,
That sounds exactly like we don't want to deal with people like top 32. In theory, everyone knows enough about 40K that they can probably be like, I don't think that's the right unit size works. Or like that can't lead that. So they were telling people to look at each other's lists because they hadn't looked at anyone's list.
Yeah.
Because they were like, want to review these lists. That's a lot of work.
I
You
don't
do it
care.
for me and let me know what the problem is, and I'll figure it out later.
And they went, I don't care to do any more of that work. I'm done with that. 10th edition is winding down. Why would we spend more time to make things run? There's a reason I'm making that comment, because now, back to page 2 of my complaints, because I'm just going back and forth between the same 2 pages because I can't just read the lists, I guess. Okay, so we move forward 2 days in time now and go to the team event. And the team event, way more fun than Champions. That was a great experience, just because playing with buddies, playing against other people who are there to have a good time. It was just fun, except for the dumb fucking special rules that they decided to write. Okay? And I don't mind someone trying to innovate a silly thing to make it a little more fun and team oriented. Do you know what's not great? When they designed round 1 to where you have to have 2, one opponent from, or one unit from one army, one unit from the allied, right? So partners, you had to have one from each of their 1,000-point lists stand on an objective in order to have objective control and hold it. Do you know what, as a person who likes to just take 2 seconds to figure out a solution to a problem, you bully the shit out of one person, and suddenly they have 1,000 points that cannot interact with the game anymore. They literally encouraged us to bully 1/2 of the enemy team on that first round. That is not a fun special rule. That is, in fact, the dumbest thing I could ever possibly think of in a team game, is to make sure you put down one of their team members like a dog.
Listen, they came up with new ideas.
No, they didn't.
Never said they were good ideas.
No, they didn't. That's the same ones from last year. It's not even new ones. It's the same ones. They had time to think about how I got to be a bully last year and this year, and they did not care to solve that problem.
It did not care is, in fact, the right term.
They probably got so much feedback already on how bad these missions were, but they're like, again, 11th edition is starting. Why try and remake the wheel when it's already gonna be different in 3 months? Well, we're not in 3 months. We're still now. We paid money to be here. And that was dumb. Every single time one of their special little objectives or things would be like, you could have one unit ignore that rule. But if your opponent kills it, they get free VP. So you're telling me that I could instead just not play this thing, not offer up free victory points to my opponent, and then just have 2 things stand on a point? Okay, sure. And then we did that. Turns out all those games were pretty low scoring because, well,
nobody can score.
How many hoops do I need to jump through to stand on a circle? Well, that is the hoop, and apparently a lot, because that was a pain. Okay? And again, there's nothing to say about like making up some fun dumb rules, because here's another fun dumb rule. More than half of the points you could earn at the team event was hobby related. And it turns out we have 2 guys that absolutely tank our painting score every time we try to be on a team with them.
Midge.
And despite the fact that Frank,
call him out,
despite the fact that Frank is a good ass fucking painter, his shit doesn't match anyone else's armies. He's a goddamn cartoon, but like a cool cartoon that I don't mind having on my board. But everyone looks at just that and they're like, wow, isn't that the coolest thing I've ever seen? Those are dumb. And then flicks them away. Watched it happen. Not really. But people do focus on like big cartoon knights, which then don't match my Power Ranger ass looking Death Watch or Sin City Space Marines.
That is the most apt description of Mitch's army I've ever heard.
That's it, Mitch. You got Sin City Space Marines.
I'm hoping there can be like pictures or something accompanying this podcast episode, just so you can see, in fact, Sin City Space Marines.
Oh, sir, but there are, and they're on our Discord.
Perfect.
They're on our Insta, and they're on our Facebook.
Perfect. So our painting score every single time is not great. And that's okay because I'm going there for the fun times. But it's rough when it's all half hobby related and we have a few hobbyists that are not, or who might paint a little uniquely and then don't match anyone's stuff.
And this is where there's good parts and bad parts to it, right? If there was bonus points for the guys who are like, we're going to go do the team event. So we're all going to paint up new armies and like work together on it. That is very cool.
That's
and
fun. Giving
bonus points for that is great. The fact that like in order to get the average points, you have to do that is a little wild.
Yep. So like our experience with that, and that goes more into my bolded list. First round, great, loved it, have a good time, except for the fact that when they paired everybody, it was entire teams, both pairs on one table. So our first mission was 8 people at one table having to rush around, and then everyone was crammed into one little space. Yeah, you're looking confused because you didn't know about this.
I did not know about
so
that. They've never done that before.
They had 8 people to one table, and everyone's sitting there like actual motherfucking lemmings, like waiting to be pushed off a cliff because everyone knows something is wrong, but there's not a damn thing that we could do about it. So we're sitting there with full teams at one table being like, hey, this isn't right. So then they had to repair us, which actually turned out to be a blessing because we were going to go against a really sweaty team first. And then we went against a great team that was so much fun to play because they were just nice guys. But that first one, that would have been a very short day for me because I don't think I could have handled another round of that. So then, but like by the end of the first round, great time. Second round, we got paired against our own team.
Yep, that's
it was Gopher on Gopher violence for round 2, and that feels just as bad as telling someone to take their proxy ass army and go home, because unfortunately for other teams, we put them down like dogs. And our own team members, that made me a little sad because I didn't want to do that. Because they had a fun thematic list, and ours was kind of just like a jumble of things that we all enjoyed playing. They were literally a Battle Shock-centric team, and they were called Shock and Awe. That was hilarious. We got Battle Shock none times, and then Frank got to go nuts with the line detachment and just kill everything. You know what feels bad to be on the receiving end? Night shooting with sustained hits too. Not great. I had fun, but that's because he was my partner.
And this is where, okay, first off, this specific scenario, if this happened round 1, that would feel really bad, and it's not supposed to, right? Because like BCP, we appreciate them. If you put your team, like home team name in there when you sign up, it actively discourages pairing you up in round 1, if it can, right? So that's great. The fact that it happened in round 2, we know how Adepticon judges are, but like,
so good.
You're right. The fact that they don't want to like disqualify someone because they spent that much money to show up, but yet they're also, you go to them and be like, hey, I literally play these guys every week. We spent a bucket of money. We drove for hours to get here, and I would like to play someone other than someone that I played literally last week.
Yeah.
And but they also, because I've done this before, right? They're absolutely going to be like, do you know how many people are here? We don't have time for that. Just go. And it's like, no, but this is the same as telling me to go home. I literally am. I'm going to play games at home, but here that I spent way too much money on.
And I didn't have to spend all this money on travel and food and gas and anything else. It's literally, I could have just stayed home. And again, it's sad because then because like our team won, but that means that then I had to literally have the people that I really enjoy playing with, but maybe not in a tournament setting. I had to put them down a loss. And also, like, our point totals were so different from our first round that I don't know how the fuck we got paired.
Yep.
Like, both of our pairing, like our partner pairs, we won. We won by a good amount. They won one and lost one, which means that should not have put us anywhere near the same, like, placements and tables. So I don't understand how that happened. That frustrated me a lot because I don't want to ruin someone else's day. But then I had to literally either ruin my day or a good friend's. And I guess I was selfish. And I chose to ruin theirs.
Well, we'll blame it on Frank. It's fine.
Yeah, fuck Frank.
Okay, so I kind of want to do a summary here, but is there anything else you want to go over?
I have covered my list.
Okay, so there's a lot of complaints about Adepticon. Some of them are going to be alleviated, in theory, by us moving to 11th edition. That will force them to revamp the missions, that will force the change of missions and things like that, to where hopefully GW has kind of taken missions out of their hands, right? With the new matrix system that they've got going, they call it forced disposition. Adepticon doesn't have to make up missions anymore.
Yeah.
They can still add extra fun rules, and hopefully they'll actually be thematic and fun instead of kind of bully one guy. But again, that's going to be taken out of their hands. So some of this is going to be alleviated by GW taking it out of Adepticon's hands. Obviously, with the change to terrain, some of their fucked up terrain will be less of a problem.
That becomes fun.
You're right. It becomes less of a problem, but also will still actively be a problem because there are still supposed to be like, don't walk through that. If that ends up being like a 2-inch tall like triangle piece that I can walk over. So who knows? My takeaway from this whole thing is you're right. And this is where it gets kind of funny to me. All of the scoring is very hobby oriented, but then the organizers treat it like it's this super competitive thing. Because the organizers treat it as super competitive, now there are people where you get these like sweaty teams or sweaty players who like treat it as hyper competitive, even though 50% of your score is hobby. There's no way to argue this is like competitive play, right? No, you got first. Yeah, but you got first not because you're undefeated. You got first because you had a sweet ass display board that you spent 6 months on and also played well.
Or they had enough to pay somebody, because literally one of my opponents went, yeah, I paid someone to just paint my whole army. So that means that the hobby score they got, you didn't even do it.
Yep.
And again, that doesn't matter, because some people just don't have the artistic ability. So if they have the money, that's fine, but that sucks.
When it's that much of your score, you're right. That's why it feels bad. Not because they paid somebody.
Exactly.
But because like you put in time and effort and then your score is lower because like,
they paid a professional.
Yeah. But the other thing I really want to get at, no, you're fine, friend. The other thing I really want to get at, and this is the thing that upsets me personally the most, because the organizers try to treat the event as competitive despite the scoring structure not matching, all of Adepticon is put into BCP and specifically is used by GW when they're determining balance things. Because they use BCP and the metrics that come out of there to determine like, all right, we need to adjust points on this faction. We need to like, here's the win rates, and we're going to show the whole internet the win rates and convince the internet that so-and-so is overpowered or underpowered or whatever else. Adepticon should not be included in any of that. Not because I'm mad at the event. I'm fine with a hobby-centric event. I'm fine with a bunch of weird fun rules. I actually love that that's the case. I hate that despite all of those things that take it away from being competitive, they still treat it as competitive. They skew all of the internet's information about like who's good, who's bad. Like again, one of the prime examples, and I'm not taking away from this guy at all. I think he did amazing. There was a guy who did really well with Imperial Agents.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if that guy did really well at any other event, I would absolutely be on the same side as most of the people being like, yeah, you go get him. This is amazing. You're the best player. Like, I'd be on board. The fact that it's at Adepticon, as much as I want to be on that guy's side, and I'm sure he's great. I know he's a good player because I know who it is. It's so hard to use it as an example of like, no, Imperial Agents aren't that bad. What's Adepticon? I can't use any of this information at all.
Especially when half your points are hobby scored.
It's just, it can't be valid. I'm sorry. I want to tell you Imperial Agents aren't that bad. I want to tell you this guy's an amazing player. And I can tell you out of the gate that if we ignore Adepticon as a whole, I still want to say those things. But ignoring Adepticon, no one's going to listen to me. They're going to be like, no, you're full of shit. That's your opinion. Then you look at Adepticon and everyone's like, yeah, you're right. Look, there's the facts. And I'm like, but it's not a fact. So I really, really wish Adepticon would stop being included by GW as a competitive event.
Yeah.
I know it's big, but it's like the only event, especially that's that big, that I think needs to be excluded because Adepticon themselves alters too many of the core rules to be counted as competitive.
Or the alternative, we treat the singles games as if they are competitive. You treat everything else with fun and hobby and all of the things, but you do the singles tournaments as per GW's as written rules.
Okay,
That
but
one, I
that
think
costs
most-
money. Because again, you can, but that means you have to get away from the Adepticon altering the scoring and things like that. And you also have to now obligate Adepticon to spend buckets of money. First off, they printed mountains of 3D printed terrain. And I know how much that stuff costs. It wasn't cheap by sheer volume. I'm not saying like printing isn't cheap. It's reasonably cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But by that volume, that's still a real amount of dollars. The fact that they printed all of that and then none of it actually fit the terrain setup, the fact that none of it actually allowed you to play the layouts that you were told to play. Okay, well now, I don't care how much you spent. I don't care that it was a bucket of dollars. It's all wasted, right? Even if they get rid of the hobby scoring, it's still really hard. After being at Adepticon and seeing the tables, it's really hard to argue that like, okay, Necrons did good, Imperial Agents did good. Is that because those factions are good? Sure. Is it because the terrain was totally in their favor? I'm not going to say that's true, but like, I don't know how to argue against it. That's not normal terrain. Is that why they were better all of a sudden? Maybe.
I don't have a lot of problems with Xenos factions as a Deathwatch player. We literally have rules baked in to kill Xenos better.
Yep.
That was the hardest game I've ever played against Drukhari solely because of terrain features, solely because of their negligence in selecting mission and layout. That was bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I agree with you. And again, if they're not going to change some of that stuff, I'm not even asking them to change it, right? If they want to do weird events and they're like, this is all the terrain we can afford, so that's what we're going to do. I've been there as a tournament organizer who just started doing GTs last year. I get the price tag on that stuff. I'm not even mad at them. But also, I feel like GW has to then step up and say, if you're not going to follow the guidelines that we set forth, then we cannot include your event in our analytics. And that's all they have to do. GW stops using them for analytics, and that will either kick Adepticon in the butt of like, we're going to lose people showing up unless we fix this because we need to be a part of that analytics, or the event gets way less sweaty, right? All of a sudden, all these hobby points and all this, like, we're supposed to be here to have fun. Who gives a shit about the terrain? That all starts being how people treat it. All the sweaty players are like, they still probably show up, right? Because they want to play games, but also they show up and they're like, I don't need to be sweaty now. I get to have more fun because these points don't matter. That would be okay. But I'm going to put the obligation on GW, not Adepticon, because Adepticon's obligation would cost real people real amounts of money and real amounts of work. GW, we are talking about a single phone call to like BCP and being like, hey, when you send me the analytics, can you just not include Adepticon every year? And BCP puts in probably 10 minutes of work just updating a little spreadsheet, and then they're good, right? That's so little work and so little effort. I think GW should fix Adepticon, and they can fix it by just not including their analytics. And that does probably net hurt Adepticon. I hear you, and that sucks. But this is clearly the event that Adepticon is trying to run, is hobby oriented, is laid back, is a fun time, not competitive. And then Adepticon gets to do what it's trying to do. If Adepticon loses participation and they're upset about that, they have the right to change that. And if they change it, GW can totally add them back in.
You keep saying that Adepticon wants to run it like a fun event, but for it to be a fun event, they have to fucking smile more.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Right, lads. We've gone on and on. All good stuff, though. Do we have anything else we want to add?
Nope. A lot of our team guys went up there. We had 12 of them. Not a small number. So we had 12 guys go up. They all had a great time. Despite all of this, I think they still came away having fun.
Yep.
It was a good time.
We had fun, and we're going to do some more of the same later this year at Nova. Obviously, we have a bunch of 11th edition in between there. But yeah, so for those of you that are going to Nova, you'll get to see some of the team and us. And hopefully you'll get to maybe get a game in with some of them.
Well, that being said, thank you, Tyler, for joining us on today's podcast episode for an interview.
Anytime.
He says this, but I don't think he means it.
I don't.
Well, with that said, thank you all for listening. Tune in next week.
Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Aaron. I want to thank you again for tuning in for this episode of Gopher's Workshop with us, hanging out and listening. Remember, leave a 5-star review. Let us know what you think. And if you feel like supporting us, you can always go to Patreon in the show notes below. Thanks. Till next time.